Hi, this is Brian McHenry, McHenry Software. This is going to be a quick demonstration of how to create a video with a couple of different views and create it all in one MPEG file. And then part of that is to show you the different viewing options, then also how to make a tracking camera, then how to create the individual frames, and then assemble them all into a movie. Very quick. But we'll have a link on this to each of these steps, so if you need to come back, you can just jump to the time where that is, and there'll be a link for that. What we have here is just a project with a VRML file. You notice up here there's a VRML button. We brought it in. Usually try to keep them under 2 gigs. We're currently working on moving to 64-bit, and then won't matter what size. But for right now, try to keep them under 2 gigs, and you shouldn't run into any problems. If you do, please let us know. But in this particular case, we're going to first talk about views. First, you have up here 5 different views you can have. There's one, which is an overhead. And let's say I want to make that a little, you click on your zoom, make that a little closer. So let's then click that little right arrow there, set home view. Second one, that's a little closer. Third one is ground level. Fourth is far away. I'm not sure why. Let's go down like this. We'll make that our third one, and then fourth one is street level scene. Now with the tracking camera, one of the things, well, first let's start with an overhead. And let's just say if this were, I'm going to set up all the views and then you assemble it. So this one, you see that the car approaches, this car turns, and then we have a crash. Now, a couple of things you could do, just a simple one like this, but we also might do a zoom, where we start where they're just about here. And if we go to tracking view, you notice I have a number of cameras in there already. We'll go ahead and get rid of them because we're going to make this all new and fresh. So now we add one. We'll call this overhead, and we can, if you click on this now, you can name it, and we'll name it overhead 1. So now we'll say this will be our first. And then let's make it so that as this car comes forward up until the point of contact, that's where we're going to zoom. So that'll be as much information. We know it's going to hit over here, so we'll bring it to about here. So if we make that 143, then now we check and say, okay, what's that look like? You see how? And perhaps we'll even do a first one will be without. Again, if you turn off the tracking camera, then we could just do a simple overhead view. So now let's just try it. Let's go to the second view, which is just using these different things. And there's a slider bar underneath them. So when you're zooming, you can zoom much smaller, 10% only. So or you can zoom much larger depending on what you want to accomplish with your zoom. Remember about those slider bars underneath? There's also this lance angle, which can be used to make the field of view larger, and that can have an effect on how your camera looks. So now let's go to the second view here. We don't want that one. We'll go to this one here, and let's just say we want this. And we'll start. We're just going to create some strange. Whoops. Let's go back here. Go into zoom, pull it a little closer. Say that's going to be our final view. So I usually save this last position for where you want to have a view when you're doing things like auto pan, auto zoom. But then we're going to say, we go back to here. That might not be a bad. Actually, we might just make this the view for this second one. Let's see, then the other one we want to show, so those are 2 that we're going to add together. And the third one we're going to do is going to be a view from a car. And how you do that is we first go over to where the car is. We zoom around till we're getting in field, then we come down. Now some of the cars you can remove the window. You may not, because some you can see through because they're not double-sided. But you can remove glass if when you click on the car, see there's an option here to show glass. But this one doesn't have it. When I go models that have been created more recently, I create a glass layer, a layer named glass, and when you click that to turn off the glass, it will remove that. But hopefully this one isn't a one that has. So we're going to go down to about screen, and then we're going to start moving in. And we're going to go, since we're using this in smaller increments, I'm going to go about eye height for the driver, and then we just pull. I press on the mouse till I'm or about here. Now I'm going to come down. Yeah, you see that it is a one-sided polygon. And then we could use the lance angle to bring it out or bring it in. See, there's a thing. So we know there's our side view mirror. And if you have more detail on these cars, you could have it so it has a reflection, etc. But we're going to probably come in a little more. Let's zoom out. One of the things I should have done is I make sure these are all small angle, because if they're not, then you're going to jump and you're going to go. But see, now I just want to move forward. Let's just say that's the view we want. So now to save that, because sometimes if you go to tracking camera, it jumps to a different view. I'm going to save that in set view 4. Then I go to jump tracking camera. I add one. I'm going to call this vehicle 2 tracking. Driver view, we'll call it. Approximate, of course, obviously. And now we click for frame 0, and we say follow vehicle 2, looking from, and then rotation to follow it. So now we set that as the first, and then we just go to the last frame, and we click it again. There we go. Click it again to be on the last frame, vehicle 2, looking from, and rotation following. And we click. Now we double check in slider bar, or you can hit play. But something didn't take there. Let's try that again. So there's our first view. We want to go to frame 0, vehicle 2, looking from. Now maybe this is vehicle 1. Oh, it's vehicle 1. That might help. Okay. Another thing is when you click on the vehicle, make sure you know which vehicle you're in. So now if we go to tracking view, we want to make that vehicle 1 looking from and rotation following vehicle 1, because as you saw, that kind of makes a strange thing. Now we go, you don't have to actually go up there and do it. You just say vehicle 1 looking from, rotation following vehicle 1. And now when we play, see, now it's following the vehicle. Now to create the video that we're going to show at the end of this. So the first one we're going to do is an overhead. So let's go and click overhead. Oh, first we want to turn out of tracking view. And we'll go to the overhead. It depends on what view you want to show. Let's put these all back to the center again. Frame 0. On both vehicles, and we'll just say we do an overhead that shows both vehicles, and then we're going to have it where it zooms in. So the first one we do is we go click Save Frames to Bitmap. We want to delete what's in there. When you want to add on, you do append. And now it may, I think this is already set, but if it says that you have a size problem, look at the size guide and or set size. You see when it shows you what your current available screen size is, and what these are, because if you're not in a standard size, it has difficulty, or it won't make the video from that. So we have it at 1, which is 1280 by 800, and we're going to say go ahead and do the full movie, and we go right. And now it's creating a frame for every millisecond. I'll probably speed this up. And it runs to the end. Now, as you recall, we did a tracking view, which was overhead. And let's just double check. You can use this as slider bar. I guess because we changed the lance angle is why that's showing different. We're going to have to change that lance angle when we go to the vehicle fixed. So now if we change the lance angle there, that's why that first one didn't have. There we go. So now we want it, again, this is a, let's double check it one more time. Zooms in so we can see it. Maybe we'll even make that a little, let's go to this one, let's make this even a little closer. We can just, at any time you can reset that, and then I'm leaving it at that till the end. So now to create that, to add it onto that first one, we say append, and we go right. Now for our third one, we had this view. Let's just double check to see if that's, oh, first we want to turn off, sorry. Make sure you turn off your tracking view. Go to the third view, and if your lance angle was changed, I think we're going to have to change that when we go to car. So remember, this one was going to be our third view. So now we basically go create, append, so it's going to add to the end. And now our last one is going to be the vehicle fixed one, that's tracking. Remember how I said vehicle to driver? So now if we go to that, see, we use that lance angle to come out a little. You see, it was at 29. You might keep track of that when you go back to those others. If you change the lance angle, that you want to return it to it. But see, we had it so we could see the side view and part of the rear view. Let's go to about there. And let's just double check how it looks. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and down here again, we click to save frames to bitmap, and we're creating all these bitmaps. If you go out to the msoft movie bitmap directory, all these bitmaps are saved, and that's why you use delete when you create a new one, because otherwise it'll try to make it out of everything. But we're using append here, so we go ahead and say, go ahead, make this. And now to create a movie of all those views we just did, we go ahead and we click on here, write movie from bitmap file. It says write movie. And we'll just go out to videos, edit demos. We're going to call this make movie demo. And I guess this is version 3.20. So if we make further improvements, we'll do another one. So we go ahead and say that, and we go OK. And now we'll create it. It may gray out while you're doing this, as it's doing right now. It says not responding, but that's fine. I'm going to speed this up. It takes maybe a couple minutes to make it. And then once it's done, it'll give you a little dialogue. And that you've finished at 1340. Now I'll put the time on it. I think it was about 3 minutes, but if you just be patient and wait, that'll come up. But of course it's 1340. When you're doing just a single view or maybe two views, it's much shorter. And these were 10-second runs each. So that's why there was 4 views, 10 seconds each. So now we go ahead and we'll say, all right, well, let's just go see what it looks like. And we go out to edit demos directory. Make movie demo. It's about 54 megs, but I'm going to edit it. What I do is bring it into, and let's go ahead and bring it up first so you can see it. What I normally do is bring it into, these I can send or use, but if you want to add titles, things like that, use something like Camtasia, etc. Also, if you need to send it or something, if you want to make it smaller, MPG is 54 megs, but if we convert this to MP4, it might be smaller by about a half or so. So that's the instructions on how to create a movie. First, set up your views. I recommend you set them all up. Make sure you keep track of your lance angle. If you change that, you may not to, but when you may not have to, but when you have a vehicle fix, sometimes you want to change that lance view a little bit. And that's about it. You just watched the 3 views. And we thank you for watching.